considered, but I'm here for a funeral, and I just found out I got laid off.
What we do here is go back.
I need to clarify something for people at home. The glee you see across my face is, to borrow a turn of phrase, if I was not laughing right now, I would be crying. Except I wouldn't be crying, I would be screaming at the top of my lungs, angrily, about the state of the world. So instead of that, we're going to do something more productive. And I'm going to approach this with as positive an attitude as I can. I'm not... Guys, listen. I'm not angry, okay? Okay, I'm not... you can believe what you want to believe. You could see this video as being hateful or angry or an attempt to strike back at an organization that, quite frankly, deserves it. But it's not. It's not. This video is a genuine and serious attempt to say one thing. I tried. I fucking tried. That's it. That's all. That's all I care to say at this point. And I think what people need to recognize about this situation and about this story is the fact that throughout it, people have only ever been trying their best for this website. And sorry, this website means video gamer, that means The Escapist, that means Esports Insider, that means Adventure Gamer, that means Games Hub, that means any of the hundreds, not hundreds, but dozens of sites that ClickUp Media Group owns. And I'm not, the thing is, I want to be paid, okay? I want to be paid. This company has reportedly held severance pay hostage until people signed an NDA. Now, I don't know that for certain. Hell, I actually don't know that for certain. But what I can say is that they still owe me money. So this video is not going to be the deep dive expose video on ClickUp, but you will know. You will know when that releases. Trust me, you will know when that releases. This video exists because I think there is an impassioned rant that exists not about ClickUp Media Group and their specific actions, because the reality is that much like a lot of fields, coding, right, is one of them. STEM is facing this problem. A lot of financial institutions, banks and shit are starting to do this as well. HR. AI is creeping in, right? And the more that we want this industry, that for some reason is the most profitable thing in the world right now, to make money, the more that, it's a self-fulfilling fucking prophecy where more money goes in. More companies want to plug it in places. And it's nothing to do with me. In the last few weeks, and this is kind of the most ironic part, my work has been the best it's ever been. Full stop. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm not saying that because I'm hot shit. I'm saying that because it's true. I'm saying that because I broke top stories multiple times in the past few weeks, because I put out articles that I was kind of proud of, to be honest with you. I had reviews lined up that I was like, fuck, man, I'm happy that I got to review that. And this is the question I want people to sit down and ask themselves. Is Caroline Wilson gonna do a review?
Hey, MetaMax here. So I realized when editing this that I actually did a terrible job of explaining who Caroline Wilson is and teeing up the AI writers on the site. So let's actually give you some context that you wouldn't otherwise know. So Caroline Wilson is an AI writer, go figure. However, She and other AI writers have been around on Video Gamer a lot longer than you might think. We first became aware of Caroline Wilson back in around November of last year, when all of a sudden this article appeared on the site. Now, there are multiple issues with this article. It's very poorly written, it does not match the format guide whatsoever, and allegedly, reportedly, maybe copied or made up an interview. But primarily these were being used to pump gambling. Given this, we didn't really expect them to make their way over to the gaming end of things because, quite frankly, that was actual content and the gambling stuff was viewed mostly as slop. However, as should have now been made really fucking apparent, this would not remain the case. February 17th would mark the day where we would be officially told that we were all being replaced with AI contributors, and while to my knowledge, certain writers are still on board helping out, for the time being, the escapists seemingly still have human writers, Video Gamer has been entirely replaced by AI, and what you are about to witness is my unfiltered live reaction to the articles that went out that day. Though don't worry, I'll be back to cover on some of the worst offenders that have come out since.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. New writer, Brian Marigold. He's posted nothing else before, by the way. This is a completely new person. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have some fun here. We're going to save image. And it's called, it's not even subtle. The name of the image of this new writer is ChatGPT image October 20th, 2025. I'll touch on that date in a minute, because that's also really fucking telling. But let's just take a minute here and read this totally real bio. Brian Marigold's an experienced iGaming and sports betting analysis. What experience? What experience? Did he go to university? I don't think so. He combines industry knowledge with an analytical edge for emerging technologies such as blockchain casinos, probably fair gaming, and AI-driven odds modeling. His work helps readers understand key topics like volatility, gamification and casino design, and the evolution of modern betting strategies. This is all bullshit. Brian Marigold does not exist. There is not a person called Brian Marigold. This person is not writing. He's not writing shit. By the way, and this is also something I'd like to point out, if you go onto Video Gamer's website right now, listed under education, a master's degree in English literature from the University of Sussex. Now, by the way, not only has this been verified by someone else, I'm not going to say who, but I know for certain someone has actually gone to these universities and asked them if these degrees are real. I think that's a crime. This isn't me reporting on anything that ClickUp isn't listing publicly, but, let's just go new tab, right? Can you claim to have a degree you do not have? Claiming to have a degree you do not possess is considered degree fraud and can lead to immediate dismissal, legal prosecution, and severe damage to your professional reputation. By the way, the irony of me reading a fucking Google summary is fucking palpable, but we're seeing the same thing, right? You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't claim to have a degree that someone never got. No one called Brian Marigold attended the University of Sussex. No one called Brian Marigold has any knowledge, because Brian Marigold isn't real. This is an AI writer. They want you to think you are reading the words of a real human being. You are not. And it is a paper fucking thin deception. Paper thin enough that if you just click save image on the profile picture, the fact that it is a ChatGPT fucking created image comes up. By the way, this is of the last day, right? I have friends of mine who were doing news today. I was supposed to be doing news today. I had to go to a funeral, as you saw. And they were still writing. So, you know, Callum Smith, Sam Smith, these are real people. Now, do you want to know the funniest thing to happen today, by the way? So, earlier today, Callum Smith, who, by the way, is a genuinely very seasoned writer. He's someone who's written for Video Gamer for fucking ages. And he's very good at his job. I write 3 news articles a day, and I find that a little bit challenging. He writes 5, 6. He's a fucking pro, right? Now, hey. So this segment got a little bit confusing again, and I'm just going to try my best to clarify exactly the point I was trying to make in as quick a time as possible. So, let's just jump to the chase here. At 2:54 p.m., Callum Smith posted that a similar story to one he had covered earlier today had gone out, where he'd been focusing on the additions and changes confirmed in a Metro interview, mainly focusing on the new My GM mode. A more general article titled WWE 2K26 Dev Interview Breaks Down Universe and Creation Changes. Now, besides that being a terrible headline, it's eerily similar. I'm not going to make any real big claims here, but as Callum points out on the day, it's the same Metro source. The only thing they didn't touch was the My GM bit, which Callum had primarily focused on in his article. However, this being all said, it was still a complete shock to the system for everyone publishing news that day, and, worse, it maybe sort of implied something. The opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself, Sun Tzu, the... Okay, so it's at this point in the story that I jump forward in time a little bit, because while editing this, I stumbled upon a fascinating site on Video Gamer that actually would have backed up the point I was trying to make. So if you look here, this article came out today by, once again, Brian fucking Marigold, called Anthem Servers Are Shutting Down, the final chapter of BioWare's troubled live service. Now, once again, this article is terrible, and it's terrible in a way that is actually unique and new, primarily because it's talking about the shutdown of Anthem, future tense, but this happened in the past, on January the 12th, 2026. This is also one of the funniest lines in the piece. In roughly 1 year, the skies of Bastion will close forever. My brother in Christ, they've been closed for a month now. But worse than that, if I actually go into the search options and look up Anthem, you will very quickly find this article already came out by my good colleague Ali a month earlier. Literally to the day, actually, a month earlier, and talks about the exact same thing, that the Anthem servers have shut down on January 12th, that someone was featured in an interview. It is different, mind you, because Ali talks about quotes and talks about an interview that took place. However, this seemingly was just the AI seeing that we did an article on Anthem a month ago, and then just doing it himself? Or someone has been, or the AI has been fed this as an example of an article it can do, and then decided to report on it. Anyways, this all being said, it does seem pretty likely that the AI is cannibalizing articles that have been featured on the site. And while this is technically not illegal, I would still like to bring up the ethics of deciding that you're going to, oh, I don't know, hire people to be used as AI training data, or at the very least, hire them and then use their body of work as AI training data without any of their consents. But hey, what do I know? There was one that came out earlier today, by the way, as well, which might be something I talk about. Jesus Christ, we're reporting on a fucking jump mechanic. Or we were reporting on a jump mechanic. If we come here to the first article of the day, this was put out by Caroline Wilson, by the way, who is fake. I just want to read you, by the way. I just want to read you this fucking awe-inspired, this like truly fucking brilliant final paragraph, right? The loss of Ida strikes a chord, particularly with those who grew up in the golden era of Japanese development. Japanese development? Game development? Web development? Fucking building development? What do you mean? That doesn't mean anything. That's just nonsense on a page. Anyways, continuing on. Just as we worry about classic characters in the Resident Evil universe, by the way, this is an internal fucking link, losing the real-world architects behind these experiences is a harsh reality check. I'm taking a minute to pause here, because they just compared the actual, literal death of a fucking person to the death of a Resident Evil character. I am... Continuing on, I'm just going to read through some of this, by the way. His work defined the tight, responsive gameplay loops that fans of Japanese action games adore, a vibe similar to the tension found in Silent Hill Townfall's PT inspirations. What? Not only is Silent Hill fucking Townfall not out yet, not only is that not out yet, so we don't fucking know if it's PT inspired or if it lends any inspiration to anything else. That's a fucking terrible sentence. His work defined the tight, responsive gameplay loops that fans of Japanese action games adore, a vibe similar to the tension found in Silent Hill Townfall's PT inspirations. Did it? Did it? Did it? Because I don't really remember PT or, well, even fucking Silent Hill being an action game. Pretty sure when people say they really like Silent Hill 2, they're not talking about the sick fucking combos you can do. I think they're talking about the horror. What this is doing in this article is baffling to me. I mean, I know what it's doing in this article, which is that they've given it internal links to put in, and the fucking AI's gone, oh fuck yeah, let me just put a fucking... And by the way, this is all gonna get really fucking heavily cut down because, of course it is. Because I'm rambling, I am really fucking angry. But do you see the immediate fucking decrease in quality? Right?
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg, and my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost. The comrades I've lost. Won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there. You feel it too, don't you? I'm gonna make them give back our past.
Howdy. Today is February the 26th, and with any luck, you would have just seen this entire video and also this edited segment on the day it went out. Because today is the day that Video Gamer officially fucked up big time. Yesterday, Video Gamer published this review of Resident Evil 9. Now at first, you may think this is a standard review until you realize that that's not quite Grace Ashcroft, that's not quite the Resident Evil 9 title, and that's not quite a real human writer now, is it? This article is entirely AI generated, but it actually goes a lot worse than that. Because see, one, this is not the only AI review that Video Gamer has written. It's one of 3, having also published a review for God of War Son of Sparta, and also the Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green ports. But, worse than that, I will go on record and state that I do not believe that Video Gamer, or anyone working at Video Gamer, or anyone working at ClickUp, could possibly have had a review code for Resident Evil 9. This is because review codes are managed by editors. Usually, companies contact editors to give them review codes for their games to then go on the site. But every editor who was working for these publications was laid off last week, with a few exceptions. Meaning, I have no clue how the fuck anyone got a review code for this game. Of course, they could have, but that still raises the possibility that this entire thing is fictive. And beyond the fact that that would make it an incredibly poor review, it raises a massive problem. Because if we look over here at this Resident Evil 9 review I cooked earlier, you'll find that it's
bad, full of misinformation such as claiming that you play as Grace Winters, and, worst of all, when I pressed ChatGPT on how exactly it made the review, it straight up admitted the entire thing is speculative. It's the AI making guesses based on the series history and what Resident Evil 9 might be like. But of course, since its data is incomplete, that means it gets things incredibly wrong, and invents things like a hypothetical Mr. X character called the Groundskeeper. But arguably, it gets a lot worse than that, because see, the other possibility is that they had access to the reviews and inputted that into ChatGPT, in which case, that's plagiarism. They used other people's reviews to write their reviews, and quite frankly, that is not the level of journalism that a site should be aiming for, especially when said site was able to get its review on Metacritic. This has since been taken down, but this should be a damning condemnation of how far this got before anyone recognized the fact that our website had been entirely replaced by AI. And more worrying than that, should raise a possibility in your minds. Because if we didn't make a stink about this, then what about if IGN got replaced? Or what about if Eurogamer all got replaced? Or what about if a lot of other games companies that are, by the way, not doing very well right now, also all decided to suddenly cut their staff and replace them with AI? The reality is that ClickUp was this close to getting away with it, and it's only because of their own stupidity that people are now recognizing just how far down the shitter Video Gamer as a website has gone. So, I'm going to ask you two separate things at the end of this video. First off, please share. I know that that is an incredibly presumptuous request that comes from a place of deep, deep ego, but people need to know about this. People need to know that we are at risk of sites like Video Gamer publishing entirely AI-generated reviews and creating a meaningless set of opinions that ultimately weigh down review scores and weigh down public discourse on which games are good or not. And secondly, and arguably most importantly, I've left links in the descriptions to various different independent games journalism websites. Because, as I have alluded to, games journalism's in a bit of a rough place right now, and unless we actively go out of our way to support real human beings, I worry that more things like this are going to keep popping up. That all being said, I hope this video was, at the very least, somewhat entertaining. And if anyone wishes to reach out and talk, I've not signed a contract with ClickUp, so while they owe me money, I certainly am not on the hook to protect them from any details that I have been exposed to. But, more importantly than all of that, have yourselves a damn good one.